Hey, happy Friday, guys. This question comes from a Q&A panel at a recent women's event that I did not too long ago. And the funny thing is it's revisited from a few years back. But the question came from someone who had been cohabitating with a significant other for several years and didn't really find the necessity to get married or have a piece of paper represent their union. I kind of chuckled because this was a conversation that I had a few years ago with some of my college professors at lunch after a class that we had speaking about like contracts and what that means and Judeo-Christian principles. And this was at a non-Christian university. So I sat down and Dr. Dave Patty adamantly said, I don't need the government and I don't need a piece of paper to force me to be with someone, and I want this to be out of choice. And it was very ethereal, it was very smart, and I wanted to go home and have this conversation with my dad about, yeah, it's just a piece of paper. During that time, my mom had brain cancer, and she was on the couch before, thank God, he had healed her, but she was laying down on the couch, and my dad looked at me and then looked at my mom and pointed to her, and he said, Bianca, I vowed before God and signed a contract stating to the government that I would love this woman in good times and in bad, through richness or in poverty, in sickness and health. And yes, it's just a piece of paper, but it's what the piece of paper represents. He said, if your professor really believes that, I'd like him to open up his wallet and give me the money in his wallet, because it's just paper. Better yet, I'd like to have the car note to his car. Or better yet, I'd like to have the title deed to his house, because it's just a piece of paper, right, B? And we're scratching my head thinking, I don't know what to say to this. And he said, that contract represents a promise that you were committed to something and that you willingly signed and volitionally committed to be there during the fulfillment of that contract. I love that question, and I reiterated the points that my dad had told me to that woman at the conference, and it stirred a number of conversations after that. But recently, in a Wall Street Journal article speaking about how 20 and 30-somethings are cohabitating, living together, shacking up, playing house, whatever kind of idiom or expression that you want to use to display that, and what this looks like in light of our current economic status within our economy, and how this is playing out within the church. Now, the funny thing is that this is anti-biblical, and it's a worldview that is outside of the church. So what does this look like? How to respond? What are some proper advice that we can give people, and how do we adequately defend our stance as to why we shouldn't get married before, or why we shouldn't live together before we get married, and what that looks like. So I'd love your conversations, whether you are Jewish or Christian or Catholic or agnostic or atheist, whatever your station in life is. I'd love your opinions, especially because I'm so glad that after 5 weeks of marriage, Matt and I signed a contract, because that means that no matter how I forget to do the dishes or forget to do laundry, that we are committed to love each other in good times and bad, in sickness and health, in richness or in poverty. And so that piece of paper represents a promise between us and between God. So love your thoughts, enjoy the article, and I'll see you next week.